In our world today, we are constantly bombarded with news of disasters, crises, and threats. It seems like every time we turn on the TV, open a newspaper, or scroll through social media, we're met with a fresh wave of unsettling headlines. Hurricanes battering our coasts, wildfires ravaging our forests, civil unrest in our streets, and pandemics threatening our health. It's enough to make your head spin. And in the midst of all this chaos, there's a particular group of people who feel the weight of these crises more acutely than most. Those who are dedicated to living a preparedness lifestyle, often referred to as preppers, with the aim is to be ready for any disaster or crisis that might come their way, stockpiling food and water, learning survival skills, and making plans for every conceivable emergency scenario. But this constant state of readiness, coupled with the barrage of negative news, can take a toll. It can lead to a sense of overwhelm, a creeping doubt about whether all the preparation is enough, and indecision about what steps to take next. This mental and emotional strain is known as prepper's fatigue, and it's a common issue among those committed to a preparedness lifestyle. Now, you might be thinking, I've never heard of prepper's fatigue before. Well, that could possibly be because it is not something that is often discussed. It's not a clinical diagnosis, but rather a reflection of the emotional and psychological toll that constant preparedness can take. But let's not dwell on the negative. The purpose of this video isn't to scare you or to add to the load you're already carrying. Quite the opposite, in fact. We're here to offer insights and strategies to help manage and overcome prepper's fatigue, to provide a ray of hope and a path forward in a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain. Ladies and gentlemen, let's dive deeper into this condition we call prepper's fatigue. It's like a mental fog that settles in when you're constantly trying to prepare for every possible scenario. Picture this. You're standing in front of a mountain of information, a never-ending list of potential threats, and a pile of resources that never seem enough. It's no surprise that this can lead to feelings of doubt, overwhelm, and indecision. You might have heard the phrase, preparation is the key to success. But what happens when that preparation seems like an uphill battle? For instance, John, a seasoned prepper from Arizona, once shared, "It's like being stuck in a loop, constantly playing out worst-case scenarios in my mind, never really feeling ready." If you resonate with John's experience, chances are you're dealing with prepper's fatigue. Now, it's essential to realize that prepper's fatigue isn't just about feeling overwhelmed. It's also about grappling with doubt, questioning the very essence of your preparedness journey. As Sarah, a mother of 3 and a dedicated prepper from New Hampshire, confessed, "There are days when I ask myself, is all this worth it? Am I just wasting my time?" But perhaps the most paralyzing symptom of prepper's fatigue is indecision. With so many potential threats and so many ways to prepare, it can be challenging to decide where to focus your energy. This constant state of indecision can be detrimental, leading to a standstill in your preparedness journey. The psychological toll of prepper's fatigue is significant. It's like carrying a heavy backpack that never seems to lighten, no matter how much you prepare. It's a constant battle between the desire to be ready for anything and the overwhelming reality of the sheer number of potential threats. But remember, recognizing these symptoms is the first step towards overcoming prepper's fatigue. It's about acknowledging the weight of this backpack and understanding that it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to doubt, it's okay to feel indecisive. And most importantly, it's okay to seek help and find ways to lighten this load. Recognizing these symptoms is the first step towards overcoming the issue. Prepper's fatigue often stems from an overload of information and conflicting advice. The information age has its blessings, but it also has its curses. A constant stream of data, theories, and opinions can quickly become overwhelming. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose, leaving you dazed, confused, and most importantly, fatigued. The survivalist community is a rich resource of knowledge and camaraderie, but it's not without its pitfalls. Fear-mongering and sensationalism are two such traps. Some folks, whether out of genuine concern or a desire for attention, tend to inflate the risks and consequences of potential threats. This creates an atmosphere of constant dread and urgency, which can be exhausting. It's important to remember that not every headline signals the end of the world. The sky isn't always falling, and learning to discern between real threats and exaggerated ones can go a long way in combating prepper's fatigue. Then there's the pursuit of perfection, an elusive and often unrealistic goal. In an ideal world, we'd be prepared for every possible scenario, with a foolproof plan and an arsenal of resources at our disposal. But reality is rarely so accommodating. Striving for perfection in our preparedness can easily lead to feelings of inadequacy and frustration. After all, no one enjoys feeling like they're always falling short. This isn't to say that we shouldn't aim for excellence in our preparedness efforts, but rather we should bear in mind that perfection is not a prerequisite for survival. Preparedness is not about creating a flawless plan. It's about improving our odds of overcoming adversity. It's about resilience, not perfection. Understanding these triggers is crucial in managing preppers' fatigue. By recognizing these potential pitfalls, we can navigate the seas of preparedness with a clearer, calmer mind. Remember, it's not about being the perfect prepper. It's about being a better prepper today than you were yesterday. And that, my friends, is an achievable goal. There are practical strategies that can help us combat preppers' fatigue. So, let's dive into these strategies. Firstly, ignore the hype. Not every piece of advice is golden, and not every threat is imminent. It's crucial to identify and avoid fear-mongering and sales tactics disguised as advice. Focus on credible sources and practical advice that can truly enhance your preparedness. Next, embrace imperfection. No plan is flawless, and that's okay. It's more important to start with what you can do now, rather than waiting for perfect conditions that may never arrive. Even the smallest steps can make a big difference in a crisis. Thirdly, focus on the basics. Food, water, security. These core elements of preparedness matter the most. Start with simple, achievable steps to secure these basics. It's not about having an intricate plan for every possible scenario, but about ensuring your basic needs will be met. Adopting a slow and steady approach is also critical. Preparedness is a marathon, not a sprint. Gradual improvement is key to avoiding burnout. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a comprehensive preparedness plan. Test and refine your plans. Practice runs and drills are essential to identify weaknesses and build confidence. It's one thing to have a plan on paper, but another to execute it under pressure. Testing helps you make your plan practical and effective. Setting reasonable goals is another vital strategy. It's important to distinguish between realistic preparedness and fantasy scenarios. Set achievable, practical objectives that enhance your readiness without overwhelming you. Lastly, maintain balance. Preparedness is important, but it shouldn't consume your life. Make time to enjoy life and value positive experiences and relationships. Preparedness is about enhancing your life, not about living in constant fear of what might happen. These strategies can help us manage preppers' fatigue and improve our preparedness journey. Remember, it's not about being perfectly prepared for every possible disaster, but about being reasonably ready for likely challenges. With these strategies, you can combat preppers' fatigue and make your preparedness journey more manageable and effective. Staying informed is important, but it shouldn't lead to obsession or panic. In the world we live in, it's crucial to stay up to date, to be aware of what's happening around us. However, it's equally important to strike a balance and not let our need for information turn into an obsession, especially when it comes to potential disasters. This balance is the key to warding off feelings of overwhelm and maintaining a healthy mindset. Let's talk about how to consume news and information in a way that's constructive rather than destructive. First, consider setting boundaries on your news consumption. Maybe that's designating a specific time each day to catch up on the news, rather than constantly refreshing your news feed. Or perhaps it's limiting the number of sources you follow to avoid information overload. Next, focus on finding reliable, fact-based sources. Be aware of the difference between news and opinion, and be wary of sources that use fear as a tactic to draw you in. Remember, it's the quality of the information, not the quantity, that matters most. Also, practice critical thinking. Don't just accept information at face value. Ask questions, do your own research, and form your own conclusions. This active engagement will help you feel more in control and less overwhelmed. And finally, remember to take breaks. It's okay to disconnect from the news and social media every now and then. This will give your mind a chance to rest and recharge, helping to prevent feelings of burnout and fatigue. But perhaps the most important tip of all is to cultivate a mindset of preparedness without fear, panic, or desperation. Preparedness is about empowerment, not fear. It's about knowing you have the skills and resources to handle whatever comes your way, not obsessing over every possible disaster scenario. So as you go about staying informed, remember to do so in a way that supports your mental and emotional well-being. Be mindful of how you consume information, and remember to take care of yourself too. The goal is to foster a mindset of preparedness without fear, panic, or desperation. Today, we've learned about preppers' fatigue and how to manage it. Yes, indeed. We've journeyed through the labyrinth of overwhelming information, conflicting advice, and unrealistic expectations that often lead to preppers' fatigue. We've learned to recognize its triggers and symptoms, such as feeling overwhelmed, doubting our efforts, and struggling with indecision. We've heard anecdotes from fellow preppers who've experienced this fatigue and understood the psychological impact that comes from trying to prepare for every possible threat. But more importantly, we've discovered strategies to combat this fatigue. We've discussed how to ignore the hype and focus on credible sources and practical advice. We've highlighted that it's okay to embrace imperfection, that no plan is flawless, and that the important thing is to start with what you can do now instead of waiting for the perfect conditions. We've focused on the basics of preparedness: food, water, security, and more, and suggested simple steps to start with these essentials. We've explained why preparedness is a marathon, not a sprint, and shared strategies for gradual improvement to avoid burnout. We've emphasized the importance of testing and refining your plans, setting reasonable goals, and maintaining a balance between preparedness and other aspects of your life. We've also discussed the delicate balance between staying informed and avoiding an obsession with potential disasters. We've offered tips for consuming news and information in a healthy, constructive way, and encouraged a mindset of preparedness without fear, panic, or desperation. But now it's your turn. We've given you the tools to manage preppers' fatigue, but the real work begins when you apply these strategies to your preparedness journey. So take these insights, these strategies, and use them to make your journey less overwhelming and more empowering. We also want to hear from you. Share your own experiences and strategies for dealing with preppers' fatigue in the comments. Your insights might be just the thing someone else needs to hear to overcome their own struggles. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing. We're always sharing more content on preparedness and resilience, and we'd love for you to join us on this journey. If you want to keep learning, we suggest checking out our other videos and resources, which offer further learning and inspiration. Remember, preparedness is about empowerment, not fear. Let's focus on the hope and resilience it offers. Because at the end of the day, preparedness isn't about hiding from the world. It's about being ready to face it. It's about hope, resilience, and the belief that no matter what comes our way, we have the power to overcome it.